Good day, everyone, and welcome to Shedding the Bitch Radio. We have a fun, fascinating, and powerful conversation with you today. It is all around how to create the perfect vision board to manifest your dreams into action. But before we get into all of that, and before I introduce our wonderful guest for today, just a couple of quick announcements. I always have to thank our new viewers and listeners who have been finding us across our platforms, whether that be YouTube, which is our Shedding the Bitch TV channel. It might be Apple Podcasts, Blog Talk Radio, Stitcher, any number of the podcasting and live streaming services. You have been providing us some great input, some great suggestions, some great recommendations of some fabulous people to speak with. So we continue to ask you for that, as along with be sure that you are subscribing to our Shedding the Bitch TV channel, as well as our podcast channel, both on Blog Talk Radio, on Apple Podcasts, or any number of the streaming services. As well, be sure to rate, comment, like, just so we know what it is and what topics are really hitting home for you. All right. As well, feel free to share it with your friends, colleagues, and others. But we couldn't be getting you, new listeners and viewers, without our ongoing fellowship. And we so appreciate the tribe of listeners and viewers who also find us on Blog Talk Radio, YouTube, Stitcher, Apple Podcast, and other both video and podcast streaming services. So we so appreciate it. And again, your comments have been fabulous, along with your suggestions on topics and guests. So continue to bring in all of that. Lastly, I can't go without thanking our sponsor, North Georgia Tax Solutions, who has been with us for a good amount of time. And Debbie Snelling and her team provide full service financial and tax services, and not only in Georgia, all across the country. So be sure to check her out and her team out at ngtaxsolutions.com. All right. Now I want to get into this subject because it is going to be fun and fascinating, and our guest is going to really provide a lot of excitement for us as we really kind of understand kind of this fun, creative way of clarifying your goals and creating your vision, and even determining your unique strengths via vision boards. So we're going to be talking about moving your life forward, which requires clarity, vision, and a plan. Without the support, the process can be overwhelming. Vision boards are a powerful and productive way to create a clear vision of how you want your life to be by creating a visual display of what you desire and invite into your world. And you don't need to be an arty. I'm even asked that quite often. You don't need to be an arty. Vision boards work for just about anyone and everyone, I should say. Now, as I mentioned, you're going to be listening for and hearing about how to use vision boards to really get clarity, to create your goals, to identify your unique strengths. And our guest, Louise Bartlett, is a creative leader and yoga student for over 20 years, working in San Francisco and London. She launched her first award-winning business, Beatnik Bags, in 1999, and won an award for San Francisco's most innovative small business in 2004. Her yoga mat bags, backpacks, and purses were sold nationwide and internationally. Louise weaves her design and yoga disciplines into all of her workshops and courses by incorporating breath work for grounding and centering, while teaching her step-by-step guided vision board process that she's perfected over the last 20 years to help students go deep and get clear on what is important in their lives, who could use some clarity around that. She teaches simple meditations and intention settings, as well as strategies to start manifesting students' visions into actions. Louise's mission is to empower and inspire others to live their best, most vibrant life. So help me welcome Louise to the program. How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. Now, you mentioned that you reside in both San Francisco and London, and I understand you're in London at the moment.
That's correct. So I actually moved to London 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And just a couple of weeks ago, I just moved outside of London. So just in the countryside.
Oh, wonderful. I've been to London quite a bit. And you and I can take that up at another time.
Yep.
but London is a blast, and the country
Yes.
is even more beautiful. So, yeah, love it, love it. Now, I'd love to understand where people's backstory comes from, especially one who was into is into yoga and meditation and intentions, and then all of a sudden, you're in this space, a wonderful space of vision boarding. So give us an idea of who Louise is and really kind of what brought you to this area of focus for yourself.
Sure. So I grew up, I moved to Boston when I was 6. So I did all my schooling there. And I have a creative background. So I've always been drawing, painting, taking life art courses, and I went to art college. So throughout the last more than 2 decades now, I have sketchbooks, I have notepads, I have canvases, and I've just been painting, sketching, collaging. So I've been creating vision boards for over 2 decades, but I didn't know they were vision boards when I started. I just started to make collages, paint on top, sew on top, and just kept going. And I wanted a life. I used it as an opportunity to think about what I wanted my life to be. So
Sure.
I would create these collages and pictures, and then they started to happen and started to come to fruition. So I thought there was really something to this. I moved to San Francisco, where I was a designer. So I worked in the dot-com days, the boom and the bust. And yeah, during that time, I started my own business, Beatnik Bags, and I also started yoga. So it was a really creative process for me. And I used vision boards to help me define what that was. So slowly over the last 6 or 7 years, I wanted to start teaching yoga, but I was just scared to death to do it. So I created vision board after vision board where the yoga teacher was the main aspect. And finally, 5 years ago, I took the plunge. I did my teacher training, and I've been teaching for 5 years now. And now I am just weaving all of this creativity, breath work, and yoga into my wellness offerings. So just combined everything.
Oh, that's so awesome. And just from a creative outlet, but just from you kind of pushing through that fear. And kind of looking for another vehicle to kind of help manifest it, and finding yourself in the space of leveraging all your creativity to the vision boards.
So for me, I find the visual aspect really comes easily. It really flows, and I have a hard time with writing with lists and things. So I use this visual aspect as my to-do list to help me move forward. And, I always have something on display so I can look at it, and I have that positive mental vision as I start my day.
Okay, because you just kind of answered my question. Have you elaborate on it? So you say that you just said that you use it, and I was going to say, all right, so that visual, is that sitting in front of you? Is that used every day? That was going to be my question. Every day?
Yeah. So my board right now is quite large, poster board size. I have it hanging up in my bedroom. I look at it daily, but I also have it as my screensaver. So when I'm looking down at my phone, I can look down, have a reminder of what my vision is, and there it is on the go with me all the time.
Nice. Awesome. All right, everybody listen up, because she's dropping little hints and clues as to when we get to this, discussion around the process of vision boards and how you most effectively use them, because she's not saying that you're just going to throw a bunch of images and whatnot together and be like, okay, that was fun, and move on. These are tools. These are living, breathing tools that you're using each and every day. But one of the things that you had mentioned in the for me in the introduction around the subject matter, you talk about It helps you to clarify your goals, your vision, even helping you identify your strengths.
Yes.
Yeah, people will be, very analytical. Some will be
Yes.
very creative. And so how do you have to position vision boards to someone who is analytical, maybe someone, like you said, who the list, you talked about, you're not a list generator, but some are. How do you kind of work with the different personality types that are out there?
So this is an interesting concept. I hear people all the time say, I am not creative. And this isn't about being creative, being artistic. So there's a famous actor named John Cleese, who's from Monty Python fame, Fish Called Wanda, and the headless ghost in Harry Potter. So he has been around for a long time. He gave this amazing talk on creativity and his model for creativity. So there's two models. There's open mode and there's closed mode. So as children, we're in open mode. It's wide angle, it's abstract. We just play, there's no right or wrong, and we have a good time. As we get older, we begin to come into closed mode where we're zooming in, we're making lists, we're narrowing down. And so as grown-ups, we forget to be in open mode. And so this is how I position when I'm teaching these workshops. So we'll start in closed mode. So we'll look at what our values are, what we believe in, and I ask people to choose from this list, and they whittle down their values. And there's about 70 to start off with, so it's quite a long list. People take a few minutes, whittle it down. They usually end up with about 25 names. Then I ask them to whittle that down a little bit more. So for example, they might have selected community and family. And so I'll ask them which one of those sounds better. So community and family, they're very similar, but maybe people are gravitated to one or the other word. So at the end of this session, people should have between 5 and 8 values. So a value is an unconscious filter through which we see the world. And it is our truth, our unique view. Nice. So our goals should align with our values. Right. And if we don't know what our values are, how can we be successful in defining our goals? Right. So once we're in this closed mode, we've kind of whittled down to our values. I present people with a wheel of life. So it's a pie chart, and there's 8 segments. They are nutrition, exercise, family, spirituality, your job, your finances. And I ask people to rate them from 1 to 10 in how happy they are in that segment today. And so people might rate exercise and nutrition really high. And they might have relationships is low, their finances are low. People rarely have a wheel that's full. It's just one or the other, highs and lows everywhere. And so then I ask them to map those values to their pie chart segments. So again, if they scored high in exercise and nutrition, perhaps it's because their values might be commitment, health, well-being. Okay. So they can easily say those segments are high because the values match those segments. Right. And so I ask people to focus on that, and those areas that are low to none, what's missing in those areas? And so that helps people to start to think about what their values are. So the next piece of the puzzle is I ask people to then look at images through magazines, looking at words, textures, patterns, colors, and anything that resonates with them. So again, they're kind of looking for where they've scored high in those values. So commitment, positivity, well-being, health, nutrition, and they'll start to pull all of these images together. Right. And it may be, so for example, they want to, or in my example, I wanted to be a yoga teacher, but I was scared to death about it. Mm-hmm. But I needed to look at my values. I believe in integrity and excellence and helping others and teaching what I know. So I could see that I really wanted to help others and help others learn. And I have a creative background and I wanted to meld the two together. So while I kept designing these vision boards with yoga as the central theme, it started to occur to me that, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to move forward and just have that present and center.
Nice. Very nice.
And there's a lot there.
No. That's awesome. But I'm stuck on one thing.
Sure.
So how does that, and that, I mean, I love the whole values piece of it. And then making sure that value is aligning to everything else, because I think we take that for granted, right? Yes. I think we take it very much for granted. A lot of people, so I'm thrilled you're talking about it, because a lot of people, they don't necessarily talk about the values. They talk about clarity, they talk about goals, strengths, but not values, which is your core. Yeah. How does all of that, and how did it for you help you push through your fear? How did they attribute to you being able to say, okay, wait a minute, things are aligning here, and therefore I'm pushing through this fear?
Because I could see where my positive aspects were, what's easy for me, what I love, and why I love it. So I'm looking at the values, I'm looking at what I love to do. And what stopped me, which is what I talk about a lot in my yoga classes, is you need to flip that around. I am serving someone else. I am teaching someone else. Yeah. And if that person can get something out of what I'm teaching, then I've been successful. I'm not going to look at myself. I'm not going to look at, I don't have the skills. I'm not smart enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm going to turn it outwards and say, how can I serve others? Because I have a story. I've told it enough times that people have come up to me and said, thank you so much for sharing. You've really helped me do this, that, or the other. Right. And those things feel so good. And so I take a moment to have gratitude, take that in, and realize that I've helped one person. And that's my mission.
Yeah.
So I think just flipping that on its head and just looking outwards and how can you serve others?
Yeah. No, it's true. And it doesn't matter, because I would assume it doesn't matter if it's a product or service that, or a product or a service that someone's providing. Your product even is like, say it's a tangible product, like say it's a phone. You're still serving someone by providing this. And therefore, to your point, look outward of how are you serving them to get through any type of fear or, insecurity.
Yeah. Well, it then turns into, it's not about you, it's about them. And how can you help others?
Exactly. Oh, I love that, because we always tend to think that it's all about us, and therefore, we internalize. I love the whole concept too. I'm very visual myself. The whole idea of external and internal, because I think if we can, get to the external, we won't be so hung up on the internal.
Yeah. And it's really this double-edged sword, isn't it? Because in order to affect any change outwardly, you need to turn inwards, to face your fears, to see who you truly are, and then you start to radiate that out. Yes. So I think coming back to the vision board is, you may not feel that you're there yet, but you'll find images, colors, patterns that just radiate who you want to be. Right. So I think it's just such a helpful tool to do that.
Yeah. And you are getting me so excited to go to my vision board that's up on my wall, pull it down when we're done, and kind of be like, okay, do I need, juice it up or whatnot? Yeah. No, I love it. Okay. So I understand the process. Now let's get a little bit, I don't know what you call it, technical?
Yes.
Yes. What are the elements that's going into a vision board?
Okay. So people create vision boards for different reasons. You might want to create one yearly as you set your intentions in January, perhaps, or you might be having a baby, you might be moving house, you might be getting married, you might be changing careers. So it's oftentimes that there's a transition period in your life that vision boards really help. And so you want to start to kind of gather all of this information, start to find images, magazines, start to rip images out. And it's going back to whatever resonates for you immediately. You have immediate connection to color, texture, design. Pull that out. I've been keeping them for so long. I have envelopes of images. Whenever I'm out and I see something that strikes me, I will grab it, I'll rip it, I'll take a postcard, and it goes into my folder for next time.
Nice.
And so, yeah.
That's awesome. That's a great idea.
Yeah. And so whenever I'm teaching workshops, a few weeks before, I'll just say, just start to have a look around your house. You can use wallpaper. You could use tinfoil. You can use ribbons, tapes, anything that you have around the house, and start to incorporate all of those elements.
Right.
And so it's not just magazine images. So you can get really wild and crazy and just keep adding on layers.
Yeah. Grass.
Yeah. Leaves, dried leaves.
Yeah. Something just came to me about my vision board, grass. Yeah. That's because so it's 2-dimensional versus just flat.
Yeah, well, 3-dimensional. Yeah, so you could, yeah.
Cool. Very cool. Okay, so that's the kind of like putting it all together. Now, do you, based on like the categories that you talked about earlier, now do you instruct them to create the vision board, literally put it together in a particular way? Or is it just freestyle, or what, like I have mine in categories, my board is in categories.
Yep.
What do you propose folks do in that regard?
I usually offer a few different layout presentations. So you could do one where you have the past, the present, and the future. You might have something where you are in the middle, and then everything radiates out from the center.
Okay.
Or you might have something where you are in the bottom left-hand corner, you're in your present, and you want to see your future and how that radiates out. So I show a few different variations, and it's all about how you want to see this change. So people do spend time when this was my past, here I am now, and this is my future. So they can see a clear progression. But it's also nice, again, when you're radiating out, or when you're here and that's your future and you see it moving up.
That one I love. I love that. The idea of that. It's interesting that you brought in the past, though, because I would have thought, people need to be leaving the past in the past, and then just so focus on where you're at and where you want to go. So other than kind of for them to see progression, is there any other reason to be using the past?
I think that you want to have some gratitude for things in your past. And so just taking a moment to reflect on those things.
Right.
Personally, I don't encourage people to reflect on anything negative.
Yes.
But maybe that thing happened in the past to enable your future growth. So you might want to hold some gratitude for that and allow yourself to grow and move forward.
Yeah, gratitude angle I love. Being that it's from, I knew you'd have a good answer for me. I love the idea of the gratitude, because I have a lot of conversations with folks about, I don't have any regrets. Absolutely not a one. I actually don't understand the concept. Because I just know everything happens for a reason, and it happens. I mean, what am I going to do? It happened. I mean, But
you need to learn the lesson from that thing that happened.
Yes.
And whether it's good or bad, it means that you're moving forward, you're growing.
Correct. So yes, I love that. Okay. All right. So there's the formats. We talked about the overall process. We've talked about pulling the pieces together, the actual format of it. All right. So now someone has this really cool personal interpretation in their vision board.
Yeah.
I want to go back. I want to hark back to your comment about how you all of a sudden started creating these vision boards, your vision board, and things started happening, and it started kind of coming true. And
Yes.
I hear and see a lot of people right now rolling their eyes, going, well, whatever, because
Yeah.
that was me about 8 years ago. I would have been like, whatever. So help me understand how are they using it as this powerful manifestation tool that it is? How do they go about using it now that they have it?
So you are creating a vision of what you want your life to be.
Mm-hmm.
And really, you are just aligning yourself with what is, with how you were born, what your path is. I follow Wayne Dyer's teachings, and he talks about manifestation. And I just want to read something. He says, it's not an act of creating something new. It's simply realigning yourself with what already is. And when you're able to visualize your dreams, goals, and desires and live as if they are a reality, there's no end to the possibilities life holds for you.
Live as if
that
reality.
Yeah.
Love it. Gotta love Wayne.
Yeah.
You gotta love Wayne. No, I love that. I absolutely love that. But I'm going to ask you, could you repeat it one more time just to ensure our listeners paid attention to it?
Absolutely. So manifesting is not an act of creating something new. It's simply realigning yourself with what already is. And when you're able to visualize your dreams, goals, and desires and live as if they are a reality, there's no end to the possibilities life holds for you.
Love that. All right. So, what do you say to those skeptics who have created vision boards? They've put them up, they've looked at them, and nothing's happened, and therefore, it's hogwash. What are they missing? What's missing for them as far as how they're using it as a tool?
So I think they are missing that piece that is a ritual, a dedication, that you're spending time, whether it's a minute a day, 5 minutes a day, and just focusing on that vision. So spending time to draw it in, let it seep in, and you align yourself and you live that vision. And I think that's one piece. But the other side is just have that opportunity to play, because as grown-ups, we never allow ourselves that. And it's the most fun to rip things up, glue them down, peel them back, color them, paint them. And at the very least, we're allowing ourselves to be open and have some fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love your at the very beginning when you were talking about open mode and closed mode.
Yeah.
And how the children are in open mode. And as we get older, we tend to close that gap and close up. I love that. And that's a great visual as well for what folks could be doing. Now, but I'm going to dig a little deeper into this.
Yep.
So say they are okay with that. They open up, they get creative, they act like a kid again. They're putting together their vision board. Is there any such thing as they interpreted what they truly want incomplete, incorrect? Maybe they didn't, want to own what it is that they really wanted. They didn't want to declare it because, who am I to say I want, like, so forth and so on. Therefore, they don't even really believe in what it is that they've just kind of, mapped out for themselves.
Yeah. So I think that you really want to change. You really want to improve your life, which is why you go through this process. Yeah. It could be a good time and have a laugh, but you need to use that tool. So as I was saying to you earlier, you might have it on your wall, in your bathroom, on your altar, or you might take a screenshot and it's on your phone as a screensaver or on your desktop as a screensaver. Yeah. So you are seeing it every day. And again, you're making that dedication, that ritual to manifest it for a minute a day. You're looking at it and you think, oh yeah, I am amazing. Oh yeah, I do want this.
Yeah.
And
You
I've been
deserve
doing them
it.
to the just 2 points. In my past, I manifested on my vision board the exact wedding dress that entered into my life a few years later that I didn't know that was going to be.
Wow.
And I had the same thing happen again when I was shifting careers and moving into studying yoga. I had this woman with an outfit on, and the exact same outfit came to me. And one day I had it on and I looked at it and I thought, wait a minute, I recognize this. And I went to my vision board and I was just shocked that, it could be that one-to-one match,
Right.
or you just need to listen and say, it's maybe not what I was expecting, but it's
Right.
what happened.
Yes.
And I've just moved into a house and it's a beautiful English countryside garden with brick walls. And I have this massive wisteria coming up the wall. And in one of my last vision boards, I've kind of mapped that out as an English garden wall. And so, you start to see, but you need to look and you need to pay attention
Yes.
to when those things happen.
Right. Right. No, I'm all in. I'm all in. I absolutely love it. Plus, I just love the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
Because it is being a kid again. It is being kind of taking a white piece of paper and just mapping out whatever it is that you want and having fun while you're doing it, but then spending time with it. So so you start to instill it, embed it. I love that. Okay. So, you say once a day you could be looking at it, but how often, because you did mention that, you might do it at the beginning of the year to set your intentions for the year, but how often can people be creating their vision board?
They can create them as often as they like. So I mentioned if you're changing careers, if
Right.
you're having a baby, if you're moving house, you want to manifest what your dreams are for that house.
Right.
If you're moving across country, having a life change. So any point at time where you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling stressed, it's again twofold. You can take this time to play and have fun where you have no direction, you just ripping out paper, you're having a little play, but at the end of it, you're creating something that you can use to move your life forward.
Yeah. Amen, and amen to that. Absolutely agree. All right. Now, the one area I'm not sure that if we did touch on it, is around the unique strengths. How does one identify their unique strengths through this process? How does it get separated from their goals and their, clarity around their vision and whatnot?
So this comes back to the values.
Okay.
And so people spend time, they look through this list. So I give them a list of about 70 different words, and that includes abundance, calm, bravery, balance, kindness, just all of these different words. And again, I ask people, just circle whatever resonates with you. And so you go through that process where you're pulling out these words that resonate with you. You start to filter it down and you end up with kind of 5 to 8 words that really, really resonate with you. And you start to see where your strengths are.
Yeah.
And you start to focus on those and bring those to fruition. And
Right.
for most of us, we don't spend any time thinking about what our strengths, we know what our weaknesses are.
Yeah.
Boy, we know what they are and think, oh, we can't do that. And so we don't look at our strengths and take time to soak them in and say, these are my strengths. This is my truth.
Right.
And start living that. So
Yep.
I think once you define what they are, it's so much easier to move forward because everything needs to align to that.
Yeah. Now, if they don't, do you ever recommend, because I absolutely agree, people don't focus on their strengths, and yet their strengths can be great motivators and pushers to overcome their fears and doubts and insecurities, is focusing on what am I really, strong at? What am I really skilled at, talented at?
Yeah.
So if they don't fit it all in, so to speak, to their vision board, do you recommend, that they keep that list, even lean on that list? Because again, that becomes a tool for them, right?
Absolutely. So outside of this vision board workshop, vision board course that I do, I also teach the business of wellness. So right now I'm teaching yoga teachers how to digitize their brand and strategy. So we have this same exercise where until you know what your values are, how can you move your business forward?
Yeah.
And so it's the same exercise. I ask people to come back to it. But then the twist on this exercise, once your vision board's done, you also look at what colors are going on in your vision boards. And so what we do is also map the colors to your values. So for example, joy, happiness is yellow, orange. Love, passion is red.
Yeah.
Green is peace, tranquility, environmentalism. So you have all of these values that are associated to different colors.
Yeah.
And you can start to see which way you move with your color palette.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things we can do here, but I always draw everyone back to these values. You know what your 5 to 8 values are? Everything you do moving forward has to align to those values.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're not being authentic.
Right. Right. That's, yeah, beautiful. Yep. Absolutely beautiful. And plus, we need to start focusing on the good things as opposed to all the drama. You know, let's focus on the good things. And she's providing you tons of tools in just what you thought. I bet you're all you listening and watching just thought vision boards was a pair of scissors and some photos and that's it, when it's so much more. So especially if it can change your life, especially because it can change your life. Fabulous. All right. So I know you mentioned the workshops.
Yeah.
And I know you have a course coming up. So would you share with us and discuss what that is all about and how people can reach out to you around it?
Absolutely. So in June, I will be launching a mini course. So it's a version of my 3-hour vision board workshop. So it's been quite a journey because I used to teach these live in person and there would be 15 to 20 people. And what was so nice was that community spirit and people ripping pictures out for each other and saying, oh, do you need a flower? I have a flower, here you go.
Right.
And then I held my first vision board in January online. And I was really worried that that community piece was going to be missing. But I have to say that it was amazing. The vision boards that people shared were outstanding. And I think because there was that layer missing of that community, people were even more engaged and kind of sat with bated breath, not just on my words, but on everybody else who shared within the group.
Nice.
And so I've turned this into a really short, you can do it in your own time. I spend 3 or 4 hours making my vision boards. And so I've broken it up into different lessons so that you can do it at your own pace. You can go away, look for magazines, you can look for paper, plastic, wallpaper, ribbons, go away and look at all of those things, and you can come back and do this in pieces. And it's been really, really successful. I've had people come back year after year. One girl who was in the January one that was live stream, she showed me, here's my vision board from last year. I framed it. It's been in my bedroom and I'm so excited to make a new one with you.
Nice.
And so I've just had such a great response that I've just decided to turn this into a mini course that you can do in your own time. It's easy and clear and it's just fun. It gets you into that play mode.
Right. Right. But then you're there should they want to go deeper with you, right?
Yep.
Right.
So I also offer Facebook a bonus call so people can upload their images. They could get feedback on colors anywhere that they're stuck. And then I'll have a bonus call where people can call in and we can just discuss where they're stuck, where they need some help, or looking through the vision board and saying, what does this mean? Wow. So usually at the end of my sessions, we'll talk about color theory, but we'll also talk about symbolism. So butterfly is a symbol of transformation, hearts, diamond shapes. So it's really interesting. You can get really deep in not just color theory, but symbolism.
Yeah, and that meaning behind that. Yeah, that is fascinating. That is fascinating. Well, and I also see this connection that You're also able to point out for them, they might feel that they're stuck on the process of creating a vision board, when actually what they are stuck on is more personal, more internal, more mental.
Yeah.
And yet
I mean,
this process helps them kind of see that without it seeming so like not therapy, but without it seeming like it's a big internal digging effort.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So I would say there's light bulb moments that go off when people do the pie chart and they map their values onto where they've scored highest, and they think, oh yeah, commitment, nutrition, health, well-being, those are values that are really strong for me. And in my area of finances, I have none of that. So how can I bring more of that into that area? And I've seen people turn things around, come back to me and say, thank you so much. This is what I've achieved. This is how I've moved on. So it's those little light bulbs moments that they start to see how things work together.
Right. That is so cool. And everyone, I want you to go to louisebartlett.com/vision-board-course for more information in regards to that. But check out Louise and everything that she does. Because again, it could start in one place and yet you land up in a whole other place, of which then you could be leveraging her all along the way to really get the support and the vision and the results that you want. I think that's fabulous. Louise, would you have any last minute tips or advice or thoughts for our viewers and listeners in regards to just really them getting clarity on their goals, the visions, what it is that they want out of life?
So I would say just enjoy the process, because it's a journey. It's not a destination.
Yeah.
So anytime you can step out and just have a little bit of fun, creativity, and play is always a good thing.
Yeah. Always a good thing. Oh, be in open mode, people.
Yeah.
Be in open mode. That's fabulous. I love it. Love it. All right. Let me just make sure. louisebartlett.com, everyone. She does have email at hello@louisebartlett.com should you need to reach out and also want to maybe talk with her. And then she's on Facebook at Louise Bartlett Yoga. So be sure to like her and follow her. She's on, of course, Instagram as Louise Bartlett, and of course LinkedIn. So just find her. Just actually all you have to do, because I did, all you have to do is Google Louise Bartlett and you'll see Mind Body Creative, and then you'll see Vision Board, and you'll see a lot of stuff on Louise. Louise, thank you so much. This has been fabulous.
Thank you.
This has been absolutely fabulous. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. And for everyone, if you have a desire to go and create your vision board, I'm going to say it one more last time, louisebartlett.com/vision-board-course. All right. And then, of course, come right back here next Tuesday at noon Eastern time when we have another episode of Shedding the Bitch Radio. And I'll look forward to having you there. Have a rich and prosperous week, and I'll see you real soon. Bye, everybody.